let's transition, Andy, and talk about a couple more running back by committees, some backfields that I'm actually confused about. I think I'm not gonna lie. I'm confused about the LA one. We'll get to that in a second. Javonte Williams, I like. Maybe you don't. Maybe you need to pump. Maybe you want to tell me to pump the brakes a little bit when it comes to Javonte Williams. I know this is a guy who's kind of just scorching up draft boards. Like he's going roughly as RB20. It's a little rich. What do you make about this of this Broncos backfield? Is Williams going to take over right away? Is Melvin Gordon going to be a pain? Is it a 50-50 committee? Like, what do you think when you project this backfield in Denver?
Yeah, I have a take on the Denver backfield that people hate. So I'm glad that you asked about it. It's always fun to talk about it. I think unfortunately for the Williams folks, Melvin Gordon to me is pretty clearly the head of this committee. He was the head of the committee last year. I like Javonte Williams. I like him as a dynasty asset. I like the notion that by the time 2022 rolls around, he's the head of the committee and they're not tied to Melvin anymore. Melvin gave him 1,100 scrimmage yards last year, and he scored double-digit touchdowns. He does that all the time. He has not, to my eye, begun to obviously decline yet. He was relatively efficient last year. He's the running back that they threw to. I think they would love to get Javonte Williams a year of sort of apprenticeship alongside Melvin Gordon, right? Because Melvin does a lot of things really well. He's a good player. He's 28. He's not cooked. He's like, this isn't a situation where Javonte is joining a backfield where the other guy is just clearly washed. That's not the case. I think Javonte is the future there. It's going to be difficult. Like, let's say you're playing in a fantasy league, you've got like 4 bench spots. What are you going to do when Javonte comes out in week 1 and it's 7 carries for 29 yards, and then in week 2 it's 8 carries for 31 yards? Like he can look good. Like he can look good doing that. But if he continually gives you those workloads, you're not going to be able to play him. And it's just hard to hold guys for a half season. Like I think back to like the Cam Akers situation last year, and he was such a hit by the end of the year, but unfortunately he was a hit for not the team that drafted him because he got dropped in most Yahoo leagues, right? He got dropped in a ton of leagues because he wasn't playing. And it's just hard to hold these guys. So like if you commit to Javonte early in the season, I think you got to like really dig in.
Yes.
And make sure that you keep him, through 10 weeks, 12 weeks, right? Because I don't think it's going to happen necessarily in September or October.
It hurts, but you bring up good points. I just feel like he's jumped up draft boards so much to the point where he's not a value anymore. If you were drafting a couple months ago, you were getting him roughly RB30. And I thought that was, decent value. And you bring up Cam Akers, and it's so spot on. I won a lot of consolation brackets last year with Cam Akers on my squad. I waited for this guy forever. And I feel like it could be a similar situation. I kind of feel like Michael Carter could be in a very similar situation as well. And so he doesn't take over the backfield until, it's too late and you're already out of it.